Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard. Hey, what up, IDS Mob? It's your dating coach, HarryWilmington here, and today we have another jam-packed show. So to start off with today, we're talking about the Marvels, specifically the fact that the Marvels just flopped big time in theaters, but I wanna correlate that flop with Marvel's output and how you can use lessons from that in your own dating life to not make certain mistakes. We're also gonna be talking about libido. How is it that you can handle a woman that has more libido than you, and why does this happen in the first place? It's actually for a great reason, and we're gonna talk about that, as well as we're gonna go into the secrets to pursuing pretty, highly attractive women, so that way you will not scare them off like the majority of men that come up on them and lap all over them like lap dogs. So we're gonna talk about all that and more on today's new episode of Harry Dating Conversations. So guys, as you may be unaware of, I am a huge movie buff and I love going to the movies. I go every weekend. I got an AMC pass to do it. And one of the genres of movies that I love are superhero movies. And so if you're like me, one of the bigger genres that you like to go to see is the Marvel movies, because Marvel, since 2008, has been pretty consistent in terms of putting out relatively decent movies that are enjoyable. They have stories that go back to back, and I just have a great time at the theater when I go see them. So this past weekend, Marvel's 33rd entry into the movie series, The Marvels, featuring Brie Larson as Captain Marvel and two other ladies that are in the film. It came out this weekend, and of course, I had to go see it. And you know what? Spoiler, guys, I had a great time. Like, I know I had seen some negative headlines about it, potentially being bad or stale or whatever. I still had a great time, went there, and just some of the fighting scenes were absolutely epic. It was fantastic to me. But that said, the movie flopped like hard. I'm not talking like, oh, it only made like $90 million against a $200 million budget. I'm talking it made like $47 million, which is officially the lowest number debuting monetary-wise movie that Marvel has put out since the first Hulk movie came out back in 2008. Now, what's interesting about this particular conversation is that one of the things that people think may have happened is what they've been calling superhero fatigue. Now, that's been talked about for a lot of years with DC's row and stuff at Warner Brothers and other various types of superhero movies. But what's interesting about Marvel's flop is that in the last few years, they've really been churning out a whole lot of movies. I'm talking like they got up to where they were putting out 4 movies a year on top of putting out TV shows that you also had to follow that correlated with stuff that was happening in the movie. So like in 2021, they had like 4 shows debut that year on top of like 4 movies. It's like 8 movies in a year. And so when you're putting out that much output, the public at large, even if they like you and like what you're putting out there, they can start to get a little bit tired, you know? When Marvel started out, they were putting out like 2 movies a year, and then it got to where they were putting out 3 movies a year, and that was relatively manageable. But they went from 3 movies a year to like 4 movies and 4 TV shows, and then little side projects here and there. Like, it was just a lot. And so what can happen over time is that people start to get tired of all this output. Like, they want to like the product, but aside from the, the quality control of things being rushed and CGI and all of this stuff, that's also very possible. But the public at large can just get tired because I get what Marvel's trying to do. They're thinking, wow, people really like us. We should just put out more stuff for them to grab onto. And what they're finding out now is that that is actually a bad strategy. So why the heck do I bring this up in a dating show? The reason I bring it up is because I try to give you guys examples of things that are happening beyond just the dating world, but that correlate to the dating world so you can see how these things work across a wide variety of areas. For example, I've said time and time again on this show that dating is just like sales. And so there are various principles in sales that also work really, really well in dating. So with this Marvel mishap, what you need to take from this is a lesson that I've tried to give you guys time and time again, which is this, is that sometimes, even if you mean well, giving somebody too much of a good thing can result in them starting to reject said thing. And so this is definitely a lesson for you guys out there that are the ones that want to consistently text a girl all the time, call her all the time, try to see her every single day, try to, hang out with her all the time when you first meet her. You're thinking the opposite, which is, oh, in order for her to get to like me more, she needs to see more of me, experience more of me, hear from me a lot more, and that'll result in her liking me more, because if she's getting more of me, of course it's gonna satisfy her enough to where she's gonna realize how much she likes having me around, and then she's gonna wanna keep doing that. And what I try to stress to you guys is that when you apply patience to your dating game and you hold back a little bit and you don't give of yourself so freely and you're not overreaching, then that gives a woman time to get to know you at her pace and decide when she wants to come to you and when she wants to invite you more and more into her world. You giving it freely, you're thinking she's going to appreciate that, but if we look at the Marvel mishap, what happened? They're putting out 3 movies a year, people were satisfied, and they said, you know what? Let's up it up to 4 movies a year and 4 TV shows and 2 side projects, and they're gonna absolutely love it. And now what's happening? The public at large is starting to rebel against that and reject it, because it basically feels like they're now stuffing all of their content down our throats. And there was a time when that wasn't happening. Think about the fact that, between Avengers movies, you had to wait like 3 or 4 years, and then the last couple of ones, you only waited like 1 or 2 years. But the point is that, that wait time, it just built up anticipation for us to want to see the next movie. It's the same thing with dating. When you take a woman out on a date and it's like one of the best dates, she's having a good time, you're building chemistry, making her laugh, and then you leave her alone. Now you're thinking, oh, I can't leave her alone because she's gonna be mad and whatever. And what you're actually doing is you're allowing her to build anticipation for what could potentially happen the next time she sees you, if you decide to call her, because she's not currently aware if that's gonna even happen. And all those things are gonna be a lot better. Now, when you get into a relationship, obviously, once you're in a relationship with the woman, it's gonna be guaranteed that you're probably gonna see more of her, she's gonna interact with you a lot more, and you're gonna have enough chemistry there at that point and enough time put in to where if she happens to see you more often than not, it's gonna be totally fine. But in the dating phase, you kill that off. And then even in relationships, people make the mistake of thinking, now that I'm in a relationship, I can't ask for my alone time, I can't give her alone time, we have to do every single activity together ever, or else she's gonna be mad, or I'm gonna be mad, and that's not healthy either. Just because you're in a relationship with the person doesn't mean that you need to still be around them all the time. This goes back to Marvel. You can be the biggest Marvel fan in the world, but you're probably not staying at home watching Marvel stuff 24/7, because you too recognize that it's good to take a break from that, maybe watch some other stuff, so you can build up anticipation towards whatever Marvel's putting out next. And so this is the lesson that Marvel's learning now, and which is gonna be great, because what's gonna happen because of the strikes that just happened is that next year, the only Marvel movie that's coming out in theaters is Deadpool 3. And this is the first time in a long time that we've only had one singular Marvel movie from the Marvel side, because I think Sony's putting out stuff too. But from the Marvel side of things, there's only one movie coming out. And that gives them time to what? A, reassess what they're doing. B, polish up their scripts, because as much as I enjoy these movies, some of the last few movies that have coming out could have used a little bit more time in the oven, but also it's going to give the public at large time to miss them and think, man, we only got Deadpool last year. I really want to see another Marvel movie now. And that's what Marvel needs, is they need us to come back to them and say, hey, we're ready to see you again, versus them just throwing stuff at us. And it's like, dude, so many lines, so many plots, I need a break. And so I think they also have the Echo TV show coming out, but that's a TV show. That's going to be in January. They might have one other TV show come out. But the point is that they're significantly slowing down their output. The previous president came back and said, oh my God, Marvel's doing too much, and he decided to slow it down. And that is the method you need to also take in your dating life. If you're finding that after 2 or 3 dates, which you probably had back to back, and you've had 2 weeks of nonstop texting her, you find that women are starting to leave you alone or ghost a bit or say, hey, I need my space, or I don't know what it is, but I don't feel the same way. It could very well be that you're doing the Marvel output, that you're trying to make yourself too available to this woman early on, and you're thinking she's gonna be grateful, but she's not gonna actually appreciate it. She's gonna get tired of it. It's gonna feel overwhelming, and she's going to start to leave. So if you just look, again, that's why I tell you guys, you need to study everything, but really look at what are other examples in the real world that can be parallel to dating and where I see results. So now you see what happens in the movie world. When studios start putting out too much of the same kind of product, the public at large starts to get tired, and they too, even if they like that stuff, need a break. Women that have high interest in you will still at times need a break from you. Don't be insulted by it, don't be hurt, just know what it is, and then preemptively make yourself less available to start, so that way she'll be coming towards you. Because as I always say, if she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. But If you're constantly putting yourself out there, readily available all this time, it's not gonna be appreciated and you're gonna lose out. So as you can tell from this show and the other shows that I do and all the other videos that I do, my podcasts that I do, my ultimate goal is to help you figure out how to attract quality women. And to that end, I also have a webinar that you can watch at my website called 3 Key Secrets to Attract Quality Women as an Introvert. It's a free webinar that you can watch that is designed to help you figure out the ins and outs of what you can do in order to start getting the kind of women that you want and being able to keep them around long term. Again, that is an absolutely free webinar. You can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, scroll down a bit on the first page, and you'll see a link to it. You can start watching that today. So I want to talk now about women's libido. You know, some of you guys date women and you get with them and it seems to be all good at first, but then somewhere down the line, you find out that she doesn't have as high of a libido as you would like. And if you were to believe most women, you would think that the reason that is because, I just am not really that sexual of a person, or for some reason, I don't know, I just never had it in me to just do it a whole lot with the person that I'm with. And you're actually believing these women when they say that. And I've had the fortunate experience of being able to get with women who have said to me, you know what, for some reason in my past when I was dating other guys, I wasn't very touchy-feely, I wasn't overtly sexual like that, but for some reason, Harry, with you, I just want to touch you all the time and I want to be in bed with you all the time, right? And so what this has taught me, is that I'm really good at like listening to women and making them feel things that make them feel more beyond the previous guys they've dated. What that's also taught me is that we could argue that some women are just chemically imbalanced to where they don't have the libido to hook up with you. But I think the more telling reality is that women that have a high interest in you will more often than not have a very high libido. And again, because I've dated women who said in their past they weren't feeling it like that, and now with me they were, that tells me that means men do not know that they are actually doing things in their relationships with women that are causing them to lose libido, you know? So things like putting sarcastic put downs or negative insults or dismissing women like what you're thinking is silly, that's not a thing or whatever. Like these little things here and there contribute to a woman's libido being lost for you, all right? So I point that out because I saw a Reddit post whereby this guy here is in an interesting situation whereby the woman he's with has a very, very high libido and he's not used to it. And the reality is I think most guys aren't actually used to being with women that have high libidos, which means they're actually not used to being with women that have a high interest. Because I will tell you now, anytime I've dated a woman or been in a relationship with a woman that has had a high interest, she can't help but to not only keep her hands off me, but to consistently suggest to me that we do stuff in the bedroom. If your woman is not doing that, then we could say she has a chemical imbalance, but it probably means that she's either not as highly interested as you anticipated, or you've been doing things that have caused her to start feeling less for you. And when women are feeling less for you, then their legs also start to feel less and they don't want to open them up for you, all right? So I'm gonna read through this guy's Reddit situation and I'll make some comments along the way. So this guy goes, I've been officially dating my now girlfriend for about 2 months. So far, I would say it's the best relationship I've been in for about the last 10 years. She's mature, very smart, excels professionally, and absolutely gorgeous. And he says, just for context, I'm way out of my depth here. I never want you guys to ever think that the woman you're dating is out of your league. I've done shows about this, so I won't go into it too much here, but suffice to say, you don't know what she has going on in her head that makes her think that you are actually above her league. And men and women are oftentimes judging on different things as opposed to, in terms of like what they feel warrants this other person being out of their league. So for you, you're thinking, wow, she's so hot, she's out of my league because I'm not that hot. And she's not really looking at your aesthetics in that way, but she could be thinking, he makes me laugh like no other guy can. He's so funny and so witty and he's so smart. How does he do it? He's out of my league. So never go into situations thinking that women are out of your league. It is more often than not true. It's a projection from you because you feel some kind of way about your inability to look a certain way or be whatever, but she may not be thinking that. So go into these situations confidently. If she's saying yes to dates, that means she feels on some level that you're probably in her league or a little bit higher because women typically tend to date up. So if she's dating you and wanting to hook up with you, she probably thinks you're actually a little bit above her. Just some things to consider, right? So anyway, he says, She's from my hometown, which is about 1,000 miles from where I live now, so it's pretty serendipitous. We both have just really clicked so well, and it feels extremely natural. She tells me she feels like we've known each other 10 years, and I would agree. We agree on life, values, kids, okay, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he says, the only issue thus far is that her libido is way higher than mine. She's used to that from previous relationships, and we figured out a great number of ways to circumvent that gap. I'll watch her touch herself, or she'll keep going after I'm tapped out physically. She didn't really finish with past partners, but has with me. Go me! Mostly previous partners haven't made the effort, and she's thrilled. I make sure she feels satisfied. Well, kudos to you. Now, I will add this as a caveat, is that sometimes women will say that to make you feel good. It could be the truth, or it could be something she's saying to make you feel good. But honestly, if you're paying attention to her body and you're putting in the work and you've learned what she likes, then yeah, I've had that experience too of like women saying, man, like, you know, with other guys, I would still have to like touch myself or whatever. And then with you, I don't even use my toys anymore. I just wait for you to come over. Like, those are all great compliments. So if you're getting those kind of things from her, then kudos. But that said, you also did say that, you know, you'll watch her touch herself, or she'll keep going after you're tapped out, which could mean either A, she's not as satisfied as you think she is, or that, to your point, she is satisfied, but she just happens to be a person that can go multiple rounds and get satisfied multiple times. That's also totally fine, you know? So he says, I'll have an extended trip coming up for work, and she's asked to send me nudes. She's asked to send me nudes and sext with me while I am away. I realize I can say no, but this feels like it's fast. Granted, I have not had relationships where this has been common before, so I'm not sure what falls into the category of normal here. This right here, this is what I'm talking about, where I say a good portion of you guys have not actually dated women that have high interest. And with this, in terms of interest and stuff like that, interest, the late great Doc Love talked about how interest is like a thing that you build. It's a stepping stone, right? So that means like when you first meet a girl, you might meet her and she has, say, like 52% interest in you. But then you take her on a good date, show her a good time, and then it bumps up by the end of the date to like 59%, 60%. Then you take on that next date and you bump it up by the end to like a good 70. The goal is to try to get it to like 90 or higher. 90 or higher is where you can do no wrong. The problem most guys have is that they think after one good date, the woman should just have all the interest in the world. Women build up like a slow running motor, guys. It takes a little bit of time. But the good side is that because it's so getting there, that once it gets there, it's very hard to make that woman's interest come down unless you just start doing wrong thing after wrong thing after wrong thing. So I say that that's because, like I said, most guys haven't experienced getting a woman to high interest because they're assuming it should already be there versus like, okay, it's gonna take 2 to 3 months, like Harry said, but I'm gonna work it out to where by the time I get to that 3rd month, she'll have that 85 to 90% interest that I need. And when you get there, this is the stuff that happens, whereby the women themselves can't help but be turned on by you all the time. You took your time, so you're not showing that you're needy or desperate, which means she was allowed to come to the strong feelings for you naturally, and she will not be able to help herself but to want to touch you, kiss you, feel you, do you in the bedroom, in a car somewhere, when you're out and about, on a plane. Like, these are the things that will legitimately happen if you're able to get a woman's interest high enough. So that's why it behooves you to really study up on women's communication, how they feel about things, how they communicate. All these things are gonna help you be able to get a woman to the promised land where you can do no wrong and you get a woman like this. Because I guarantee you in this woman's previous relationships, she probably had high libido or she had the capacity to have high libido, I'll say. But when men are doing the wrong things, then even a guy that's her boyfriend, it'll just kind of be stagnant like this. Like, it'll be okay. She might suggest it once or twice a week, but because he's doing other things that are kind of at times picking at her or downplaying her, it keeps her libido at an even keel level. Whereas if you're doing the right things, if she feels respected and heard and understood, and you're showing her a great time, then yeah, she's gonna be the one coming to you. When can we hook up? Let's do this. I got some lingerie for you. Oh my God, like that stuff's gonna happen, right? So he has some questions. He said, first, it's a fast-moving relationship, but is this too soon for this behavior? Well, notice he said they've been dating 2 months. What do I tell you guys time and time again? It takes a woman 2 to 3 months to solidify her feelings. So as far as I'm concerned, this is not a surprise. This is right on track. It's at the 2-month mark where she's saying they're already boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't know how that happened, but like, usually by the 2nd month to 2.5 month, women start asking questions that are indicative of, I want to be your girlfriend. So this timing is actually perfect. It's literally what I talk about to you guys all the time. 2 months, and she's gung-ho to do it with him all the time, to where she's volunteering to send him nude pictures of herself and to try to sext him on a trip. This is actually how this is supposed to work. Then he says, if yes, what is your normal timeline? 2 to 3 months. What do you feel are the things that make this special to a relationship? Well, the thing is that at the point where you get to the 2 to 3 month mark, a woman's feelings are gonna be so solidified that she's only gonna have eyes for you. She's only gonna wanna send you news. She's only gonna wanna sext you. And so in terms of making it, the last question says, is any tips to make it fun or exciting? In terms of that kind of stuff, really what it is this, is that for one, in terms of your texting, she should be initiating every 3 texts to your 1 text. So that way you keep it, people have this thing of like texting should be 50-50. It should not, because I always tell you guys that women read into things 3 times more than we mean it. So if you're texting her 3 times to her 1, it's gonna seem like way too much. Versus if you let her initiate 3 times and then you initiate 1 time, that's gonna feel to her even keel, because your 1 time is gonna feel like 3 times, you know? So to that end though, in terms of like sexting her when you're on vacation, the reality is you don't have to do it a whole lot, but I used to do the thing where I used to like come up with like cute little mini stories about things or scenarios that she would be in that would involve me and her getting together and hooking up in these wild freaking places, you know? And I would send one of those like once a month or once every other month or so, and the women that I did that to absolutely loved it. Like, oh my God, it's a personalized story where he's thinking about me, but he's also really dirty in the story. So I know that he likes me on a sexual level, and it makes me feel like a true woman because he's showing me in these feminine ways in these stories. Like, I found that worked. Like sexting emails where you can send a short little story. If you can do that, fantastic. If not, innuendo always works great, because like I said, women are about passive language. So sending a woman innuendos is a great way to let her know subconsciously that you know how to connect with her in her best form of communication, you know? You don't have to text a girl and be like, oh, I'm gonna D you down and F your A, this and that. Like, you ain't gonna do all that. You can if she's into it, but you don't have to. I found something as simple as just, hinting at things I'd like to do. Like if a woman texts me like, oh, I'm making some stuff in the kitchen, and I'd be like, oh, I'd like to make something else in the kitchen, like eating you for dessert. Like that's the kind of stuff that you can say that's like, it's like, oh my God, it's so dirty and it feels whatever. And they'll still understand and feel that you want them in that sexual way. But yeah, kudos to this guy for being able to find a girl and to get her to the interest level where she wants to do these things. But this should be a lesson to the rest of you guys out there, is that really focus on building up her interest enough to where she feels comfortable enough with you, to where she'll want to come to you and suggest hookups or things to do when you're out of town. Because when that happens, trust me, women want to do this. This is a way for a woman to express her femininity. She's coming to you and saying, hey, I want you to dominate me. I want to be submissive to you. I want you to take me in the bedroom and make me feel your masculine strength and make me feel like a woman. Like, this is what women want from men that they have high interest in. If you're not getting this, then it means you're either slipping on the interest scale or you don't know how to build it up properly. If you need help with that, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. I would love to help you figure that out. And speaking of the website, while you're there, you can definitely check out a preview of my brand new book, Stop Losing Women, the ultimate guide to dating the women of your dreams. This is a 250-something odd page book that goes into the ins and outs of things you need to stop doing in order to get women, and then also some tidbits on what you can do to attract them in a variety of ways that's gonna keep them around, build their interest level, and ultimately allow you to date them, okay? Again, you can check out free sections of that book by going to the website, clicking on the button on the first page. It'll take you directly to the sales page where it has blurbs of stuff from my book. You can also go to the website in general to check out my other various ebooks, audiobooks, and programs, all designed to help you date your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. All right, so this last part of the show, I want to talk about getting pretty and attractive women, because I happen to see 2 posts this week that I feel as though men need to hear. The first one is from a very pretty woman that is tired of men approaching her in a specific way. And then the second one was a post where it's just giving guys general advice about the things that women are experiencing as pretty women. Now, if you're a younger guy or maybe in your 20s or early 30s, you probably have this issue and you're not aware of it. Is that you're going up to pretty women and thinking to yourself, wow, she's so pretty. How can I attract her? I know, I need to let her know that I find her pretty, and then she'll realize that that must mean that I have some kind of feeling for her or that I desire her in some way, and she's gonna be like, oh my God, that's so sweet of you, and then that's gonna allow me to ask her out, and then we go on a date, and yay, I have her. And that's just not how this works, because the reality is, for women that are legitimately pretty, like model-esque, 8s or higher, they have guys in their DMs, walking along the street, at their job, in their friend circle, at parties, everywhere they go in life, commenting on their beauty all the time. Their lips, their boobs, their hair, their skin, their flawless nose, like all these things, their feet in some cases, which is just kind of weird. But all this to say is that, so using this strategy of, I'm gonna tell her she's pretty so that way she knows that I like her, is a very failing strategy, and most women are tired of it. So let's go to this first post. This woman had a post on Reddit and it's titled, "Tired of Men Wanting Me for Only My Body." And the post goes, "I really do not want this to sound out of touch, but I'm completely exhausted by the idea of attempting to settle down. I have worked as an expo model at exhibitions and major racing events, F1 for example, for most of my adult life. I am 26 and every man I meet in any capacity, organic or social media, can only seem to compliment me physically and clearly has no intention of getting to know me on a personal level. I would not change my looks, but I am so tired of any man not seeing beyond this or just viewing me as a challenge. I'm starting to get depressed as I do not know how to end this cycle. How can I prevent this or at least get past it?" So that's not a thing she can fix because guys are gonna continue to do that. But here's the thing that you need to know, right? The part here where she says, men can compliment me physically and clearly have no intention of getting to know me on a personal level. Now, when you go up to a woman and you say, "Hey, I just think you're so pretty, you're so gorgeous," you're thinking you're winning points. You're thinking you're doing a nice thing, you're giving a nice compliment, and it's one that she needs to hear, so that way she knows that you care about her on some level. That's how you as a guy are thinking in your head it's going to be taken. And this woman right here is telling you emphatically that that's not how women are taking it. What they're taking it is he's commenting on my looks again, so all he wants to know about is my looks, and he wants to hook up with these looks and doesn't care about the person behind these looks. He doesn't want to know me on a personal level. Now, you could be thinking, I'm gonna comment her on her beauty so I can get a conversation going with her, so I can get to know her on a personal level, but that's not what they're reading. And all that matters is how are women taking the things that you're putting out there. So if you mean well by saying to a woman, "I think you're pretty," but they're not taking it well, then you can't then say, "But I'm gonna keep commenting women on their beauty because that's just what I do." If it doesn't work, and if it's not effective, and if it's not making them feel like you wanna actually get to know them, then that is a strategy you need to get rid of. I stopped doing this years ago because I realized at some point, you know what? When I go to these parties or go to these places, every single guy here is commenting on her beauty. So if I'm the guy that's not doing that, there's a chance that she'll probably appreciate that because I'm a break from the norm and I'll probably end up getting her. And that more often than not is what ended up happening, which leads to the second post that I saw this week. And you see a picture here with a woman that is pretty and attractive and probably has a bunch of guys coming to her telling her that. If I saw her, that would be the last thing I would ever tell her. But anyway, so here's the post. It says, "Men, for every pretty girl you see, know this. Number one, you're not the only dude who has noticed that she's pretty. Every man who has eyes can plainly see that she's appealing. On top of that, women that are in the model field, they know they're pretty. So they've already told themselves that they're pretty. They hear it all the time. You saying it is a drop in the bucket. It doesn't take any effect. It doesn't matter. She doesn't want to hear from you. You could tell her that she's pretty. Well, I'll get to that in a minute because I'll save that for the end. But anyway, secondly, if you are planning to get her for yourself, know that you have joined the long queue. There were many dudes who had discovered her way before you did, and others more will after you. They want her to themselves and are in pursuit." Yes, hot women have guys in their DMs and in their real life trying to get after them all day long. It becomes to them like the Matrix, where it's like, compliment here, compliment there, guy hit me over here, oh my God, this other guy over here, this guy, like it's nonstop influx of people coming in, right? It doesn't allow you to stand out if you're doing the exact same thing as these other guys. So, number three, every dude is trying to stand out to emerge as different from the rest of the dudes who want her. Some are trying hard to please her, others are extending monetary benefits to her, and the rest are simping harder than everyone else. The competition is stiff. I cannot begin to tell you the number of female friends I personally have who have told me about dudes who have paid for trips to Hawaii and to Vegas and who have bent over backwards to try to please them and have done the high level end of simping you could possibly imagine. And none of these female friends ended up dating any of these guys that were doing this thing. So what guys did they date? Last line here, stand out by not getting in line. Exactly. This is what'll happen, right? Because you're thinking you need to pursue. You need to comment and compliment and tell them they're pretty and do things and buy things and say things and all this other stuff, right? But she has all these other guys doing that. So what'll happen is this. She meets you, right? And in her head, she's already thinking, okay, here we go. We're about to get on the compliment parade. We're about to get on the you're so pretty parade. You're so curvy parade. Your butt looks nice parade. And I'm going to just put him to the back roster. And instead you come and say, hey, what's going on? Oh, what's this event about? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Hey, you know what? And you go into a story about something. You ask about yourself. So what are you doing here? So long you been here, this, and that. You tell a funny joke. You have a little banter. And then at the end, you're like, hey, you know what? It's been nice meeting you. I got to get out of here. Oh, hey, real quick though. Let me get your number. I'd love to meet up sometime. And now she's thinking, on one hand, okay, I don't know if I want to date this guy. But then she's thinking back on all the other guys in her roster or other guys that have come to hit her up, right? And she's like, wait a minute, at no time did this guy comment on my looks at all. He didn't try to bribe me with any kind of money thing. He's not simping. There was a moment where I told him I needed to go get something. He didn't try to go get it for me. And I kind of like that actually. He might be different. You know what? Screw it, I'm single, I'll give it a shot. Oh sure, here's my number. And then at that point you've won. Now, I will say the mistake most guys make after that is once they get the date, they're like, oh my God, now I gotta start doing all these things that these other guys did, and then they end up losing that girl on a date. So if you don't do the sipping stuff, you will find that, yeah, you will be able to easily stand out by not doing all these things, by not commenting on her looks. I make it a point to not comment on a girl's looks at all until we either like date 3 or 4 or until we've slept together. Because at that point, now that I've seen her whole body, now if I make comments on it here and there, well, she's already done the bedroom tango with me, which means that she wants me to be observant of her body. And even then, I still don't make a wide variety of comments, or if I do, I'm clever with them. Like I'll say like, hey, oh my God, that top really makes your boobs stand out. Like, where'd you get that top from? Like I go from the compliment on her body straight into, but outside of your boobs here, like, where'd you get that top from? What made you want to pick this outfit? You did a really good choice. Like now I'm judging her on other things outside of her body, but I'm commenting on her body in the process. But because we've already hooked up, she doesn't now mind it as long as I'm not doing it excessively, because you don't want to make the mistake after sleeping with her of then going into being that guy that's commenting on her body all the time. Because women want to be complimented on a variety of other things that they're about, whether it's like how smart they are, how they manage to find a place that they live, or work on a project, how smart they were to put it together. Like those are things that she actually brings to the table. The reason women don't really appreciate body compliments is because ultimately they had nothing to do with it. Like outside of if they get surgeries or whatever, most of it's genetics. So you saying, you're so hot. It's like, it'd be like if she went to you and was like, oh my God, like your beard's amazing. And you're like, I went through puberty and just grew a beard. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that doesn't impress women. But you complimenting her on things that she had to actually do, that she had to put her brain to in order to accomplish it, those are the things that are gonna mean more. But also say, you stand out better with pretty women by not complimenting on how pretty they are. Because it's an interesting thing to note that women, and again, it's not that she doesn't want to hear you ever tell her that she's pretty or that you find her attractive. It's just you leading with that. That's what every other guy's doing. You need to have her looks as a compliment be the last thing you comment on before you comment on, hey, that's a nice outfit you picked out. Oh, where'd you get those earrings from? That's an interesting story. I want to hear about those earrings, or whatever. Like, those are the things that'll gain you a few points here and there, but ultimately it boils down to making her feel the right things, knowing how to connect with her, knowing how to make her laugh, knowing how to give a good hookup to her in the bedroom. These are the things that are going to matter more to her in terms of building her attraction than you commenting on her body ever will. So for you guys, as I said, you're young, or you're ranging in from like 18 to say like 25, 26, you're in college, you're out in the new world at post-college, and you're out there dating and you don't know what's going on, you know what you're doing wrong. Start looking at what things are you saying to women. If you're just, making these side comments about, oh, your boobs are so great, your butt looks so great, oh my God, you're such a dynamic, whatever, or saying things like guys like to say this too, they'll be like, oh, I bet all the guys are all of you because you're just so pretty and so attractive. Like, don't even do that. Like, do not comment on a woman's looks ever until you get her in the bedroom, until she's the girlfriend. Like, save that crap for later on after she's had time to build up a like for you to where she wants to hear those things from you. Early on, you're gonna lose out, all right? So hopefully, guys, this helps you out. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Harry Dating Conversations. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and click on the bell icon to be notified of when another show goes up. Also, be sure to go to introvertdatingsuccess.com to check out my ebooks, audiobooks, and other various programs, all designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Definitely check out the Introvert Dating Success Academy. For those of you guys that want to learn how to meet, greet, attract, land, and keep the women of your dreams, it's a great program. It's 12 videos that's chock full of information on how to go from meeting her, getting her phone number, how to call her, what kind of first date to take her on, all the way up to how to negotiate your way into the relationship that gives you everything that you want while giving her what she wants, all right? So you can check that out at the website. Be sure to tune in for more shows that are coming. We do a live show every Tuesday at 5 p.m. I'm gonna start back doing new live shows on November 28th, so be sure to tune in then. In the meantime, if you guys have questions you want answered on one of these shows, you can write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. You can also leave a comment on any one of my videos. I look through them and I use those comments to answer those questions on my live show as well as on this show as well. So thank you guys for watching. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I will catch you guys on the next episode. I'm out. Peace.